We can see about like, I don't know, do you want to start at the big waves? Would you like me to like talk about the chorus? We can just do both.
Well, here, I'll kick this off. Like, this is like y'all's worst song because this is like the first song that we did. So this is before I had really gotten through to you guys on what it is to write a good song and make a good song. So this one we're just trying to polish a giant fucking turd.
Yes.
And it's a decent turd polishing job. That's mostly thanks to me. But like you guys helped obviously.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
You know, it's just what it is, man. I call a spade a spade. But, like, if you look at it, like, it's, I don't know, it's a fucking song. Like, there's some drums. See, there's some drums. There's some bass. There's some guitar. There's a couple of these little, like, production effects. Like, we're like, oh, look at us. We're putting in a big boom here, you know. It's like this one, like, yo, there's a boom. Oh.
What song is this?
It's a chorus. See, the rest of the world doesn't know this, but this song is actually titled Frog Scroat. I did not come up with it. They came in, looked me dead in the eyes the first time we ever worked together and said, Kevin, this song is called Frog Scroat. And it's funny because that happens a lot, is you guys come in with a working title, and that's what I name the session, and then I'm like mixing it, and then like you send me back an email that's like mix notes for a song I've never fucking heard of. Yep. Because you changed the damn title on me. So I think that might have happened during this.
Yes.
It's like, I send like Frog Scroat Mix 1 because that's what you called it. And then it comes back and like Sharp Pains Mix Notes. And I'm like, Sharp Pains.
Also, here's a little tidbit though. I remember the day we were sitting in the studio and Kevin was just like, why don't you just name your songs exactly what they are? Sharp Pains. Just take certain words. That's rather obvious, you know, most bands do that. But I feel like in the beginning I always wanted it to be like, I don't know, edgy and I don't know.
I mean, but the problem with that is then somebody's trying to find your song if they've heard it and they're like Googling like song about sharp pains. Wait, no, this isn't it. This says Frog Scroat. That's not it. And they keep looking.
Right.
Like,
I get that.
Or they're like, why would they name their song that? I'm like, no offense, but y'all ain't Fall Out Boy and this ain't 2006.
Luke, why don't you talk about just like kind of how the song came to be? Because it was your riff and...
Yeah, so Sharp Pains was our first song that we took to Kevin. This song was the first song that I contributed to the band as like, hey, I have this riff, what do you think type things. This riff was written just me and Brent on drums, and I started playing that intro, and Brent immediately goes, that sucks, don't play that. And I was like, okay, and so I immediately shelved it. And then the next time we practiced, I played that riff, and Ryan, the other guitar player, said, oh, what's that? I really like that.
So what you're saying is you had a conversation with Brent and then just like mentally tucked that away like, okay, I'm going to bring this out in front of the guys.
I just thought, I was like, I think this one might have legs, and I played it one more time, and thank God Ryan was like, oh, I like that. And I was like, well, Brent doesn't, but we can fix that. But I had that written, and I had the chorus written, and I had the breakdown written, and so it was just like, cool, we have a solid layer of songs to just like play with, and that was the first one. And I remember being like, for the chorus, which we'll probably start at the chorus just because that's the catchy part.
Hey, the whole thing's catchy.
Give yourself credit. But those back and forth chords, the way those chords slide was like the big thing that I wanted, and I remember being like, Garrett, will you please put words on those slides? And then he did, and now we're a band forever because he listened to me.
I remember the day that we recorded this, or like we were on our way home, I was riding back with Ryan and Jason, because the first time we ever came down, Jason came with us to be part of the experience.
He did too.
And I remember finally riding back, and I was like, okay, like we officially sound like a real fucking band.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And see, I thought the opposite. I was like, these guys aren't a real band. The drummer brings his dad to the studio. But Jason was fucking cool as hell, dude. By the end of that session, I was like, does this mean I'm old if the only one I relate to is the drummer's dad?
Drummer's dad.
But yeah, and another tidbit about this, on the ride home, if you guys don't know, if you've ever worked with Kevin Gates before, he does not want you to listen to the song a lot after you get it finished. But it's hard not to whenever like you walk away from a studio with your first song, right?
That sounds as good as it does. Like,
yeah, and I remember on the way back home, Jason and Ryan were giving me so much shit because they only played it on the radio twice, and they're like, "Okay, Garrett, that's enough." But my ass just takes my iPhone and puts it to my ear, and I probably listened to it about 8 or 10 more times on the way back.
See, I try to set the bands up and be like, this is a rough mix, like it's okay to be excited, but like it's gonna sound better. Just like give it a spin, be excited about what we've done, and just know like 2 or 3 weeks from now you're gonna get like something that's actually good. And bands also tend to get what we call demo-itis, where they will listen to the rough over and over and over and over, and they will get very acquainted with certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
And then when we go and address those aspects, one of two things happens. One, they find themselves preferring the version that is inferior. Like the mix isn't as clean. It's not going to translate as well in multiple systems. Or they will hear phantom problems. They'll be like, "Oh, I remember. Is the timing off on this vocal? Because maybe it was, and then we nudged it over a little bit, or did something to address it." And they'll keep insisting that they hear it, and I try to keep their palate fairly cleansed, because that's what I do. Like I'll produce the song, and then I put it away, and I move on to another project, and I'm working with another band, and then 2 to 3 weeks down the road, I've got mixing dates set up, and then I come back in, and in order I'll sit down. And so I get to re-experience that song with fresh ears after having not heard it.
Right.
And that's where I really feel like I can hear, okay, this is working, this isn't working, this needs to be tweaked a little bit. Why the hell did we do this? Oh yeah, we did this is badass. And kind of just go through and build the whole thing up from there with a fresh perspective. But the bands never get a fresh perspective if all they do is take the rough mix and jam it 400 times a day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was bad for that.
You were bad for that.
He's better now.
It's okay. He's better now. The shot color really helped, from what I understand.
Yes.
Ryan was telling me about that. There's like a phone app and stuff. I think he sometimes just does it for the hell of it. Like it's fun.
I gotta wear it all the time.
All the time.
Daddy's necklace.
Also, you'll notice it's not on his neck. What? It's an anklet.
That's pretty good.
It's an anklet.
It's an anklet. What do you think?
That's pretty good.
It just makes his right leg spasm and he kicks people
randomly. Why do you think he jumps so high on stage?
All right, let's get into this.
So I'm gonna start you at the chorus, and I'd like to get a pass of the chorus of Sharp Pains.
All right.
How did you find everything you need? Just tell me. How did you find it easy? But not me. How did you find everything you need? Just tell me. How did you find it easy? But not me.
I remember being like, it's so cool that you mention how you specifically told Garrett to write with the swings on the slide on the guitar. Like it's not a swing beat, but it swings up and it swings down, it swings up. Like, because that was the first thing I remember hearing when he was going through there. I'm like, holy shit, that's really cool.
What, Garrett? What are the vocals there? What do you say there? What are the lyrics there?
So I basically say, how did you find everything you need? Just tell me. How did you find it so easy, but not me? I might be cutting out some lines there, but essentially those lyrics, I mean, they're just very easy and straight to the point. It's nothing too complicated. But that song, that whole hook is basically about, like, I walked away from a certain time of my life of how I feel like other people that I used to surround myself had all the answers, and, like, they were able to move on so easily. And, like, in the chorus, I'm basically just saying, like, why not me? Like, why wasn't I able to do that? And that's, I mean, it's pretty simple. I feel like it's something that everyone can relate to, and it made it a super strong first single.
Certainly. Hell yeah, dude. Is there other lines in this song that, like, maybe, like, in the second verse or anything, like, I like to say, when you say, can I blame it on God, or is that trick too old yet? That's probably one of my favorite lines in the song.
Yeah. So, I would say that whole second verse, I'm really proud of. Like, what do I say? I say, I give you something to laugh about? Am I the butt of the joke? Which, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe, like I said, maybe certain people at that time in my life, they were kind of talking behind my back of just like, oh, like he's never going to be able to like not be successful, but he's never going to like move on from this, I guess.
Wow,
But that lyric, how else does it go? What do I say after that?
How does my song go?
Well, you want to sing through it maybe, and you might remember some of it?
Sure.
Cool, dude, yeah.
Second verse.
Yeah.
Did I give you something to laugh about? Am I the butt of the joke? A modern day humor delivered in the form of insults. Every now and then I like to shake my world around. Can you pull the rope hanging from my back now? Can I blame it on God? Is that trick too old now?
I love the way he hits on God as it's less sung and more just like shouting into the void.
Mm-hmm. And in live, there's so much like.
Bye.
There'll be like.
Love you.
Like I'll double up on that, and there's so much natural like on God, like it like drags out of you because it is like, is this too old? Can I keep doing it? Like we're tired of hearing this excuse of like we're blaming it on something else.
I always feel like that lyric means like God is my last excuse.
Yeah,
so,
it's like we're blaming everything on God, and it's like, all right, well you could probably fix that.
For somebody who doesn't want to face their own shortcomings and directly address them, it's like blaming God is such an easy target because you're blaming something beyond our reality that nobody else can touch or
confirm or deny.
Yeah. I remember though. So the first time I heard that, Garrett was actually just kind of like quietly singing while we were working on the instrumentals in here, and I didn't fully get how it was gonna hit because he was just kind of quietly singing it until he was in the booth and he projected it like that. Like I said, it was less sung and more like he drifts off into this like shout into the void. And I heard that and I remember immediately thinking like that's something that if I was a kid at a show like 17 years old, I'm gonna like scream, "Can I blame it on God?" Like shout along with those lines. Like even if like some dumb kid that can't sing, it's like that's a line that I'm gonna get drawn to.
It's not even my line, and while we play it live, I get that feeling too.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm gonna yell this line.
Which, by the way, that's a huge thing. If like you as a singer, Garrett, can get your bandmates on board with certain lines of your song to the point where they're like shouting along with it on stage, like holy crap, dude! Because like most of the time the guys on stage in the band are just like, yeah, this part's okay. There's some singing here. Here's my cool guitar part.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a great story about this song, which is probably one of my favorite band stories ever, and I wasn't even there, is during the breakdown of this song. We recorded all the guitars, all the drums, first day, and the story that I got was old Garrett maybe had a couple too many brewskis and ended up making love to the toilet. And while he was putting his insides in that one, he was
transferring his insides.
He goes, "Guys, get my phone, I have an idea." And it's the breakdown part of this song where he's like, "I wanted to add words to this." That's where it came out.
I wrote it the night before.
While you were puking?
Yes, and none of us had heard it, and we were like, "Go in the booth and do it. We'll see if it's good." And this is what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna solo that really quick.
Yeah.
Because the layers on those, it's like scream song.
I know how you want the most from this heart. You put out your heart and someone ain't done. You wanted decision against your own bond. You turned off your head and I know what you want from this.
I loved keeping the breath at the end of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super fucking cool.
That was a very desperate vocal take too.
About that vocal take, I remember the end one of you had that screech on that last one.
Right.
And
I know what you want from this.
And it was so, like, that rattled the room. Like, every band member in this studio at once was like, what the fuck was that?
It was like you were watching a rap battle and somebody just dropped like the death throw.
Yes.
Like it was like they annihilated their opponent.
It was, yeah, that was
shocking moment.
Can you solo some of those, Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
like just solo like the individual
like solo
layers.
the tracks of like showing the layers of what each one sounds
I
like.
know you want the most from this heart. You poured out your heart and someone in turn. You wanted decision against your own blood. You turned off your head, and I know what you want from this.
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did the same thing on both of them. Like we just doubled it and ran a little bit of distortion on it.
I know what you want the most from this heart. You poured out your heart and someone in turn. You wanted decision against your own blood. You turned off your head, and I know what you want from this.
There's the breath right there. Yeah.
That sounds like horror movie shit, dude.
Holy
shit.
He did like the high screechy one is on the lead. And he was a little more straightforward on the doubles, but like the doubles we distorted up and they just kind of blend together really nice. The thing that's great about that, so everything in music is all tension and release, tension and release, tension and release. You're feeding people these hooks and then you're kind of twisting them and darkening it and then it comes back to a nice resolve. And the best resolve in the song happens right at the end of that when it goes back into the guitar lead mini solo. Because, like, it comes out of that and goes into the... Like, this soaring little guitar lead coming, like, right after... Like, there's so... Like, I think that's probably... Would you agree the angstiest part of the song?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, right there. Like every ounce of emotion and every lyric that has been set up to this point gets poured out into, like, these, 8 bars... And then you get to the end of it, and specifically like the last bar, and then it just goes into this pretty little soaring guitar. Also, we haven't even discussed it yet, but I love those poor me's.
Yeah.
Like, what a freaking hook.
Before
pour me another drink.
Before we get out of that part, can you just like read off the lyric? Do you know the lyrics of that part? Like what you say in that screaming part?
Let's hear it one more time.
Cool.
Okay, you can stop it there. So, one thing I really like to do lyrically is, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of bands out there that are just writing... I don't know, my vocal style, like, I really like to take the listener out of the illusion of a song whenever I can, if that makes sense. I know that kind of sounds bad, but how I mean that is how I literally say, I know what you want the most from this hook. Like, I'm talking to the song and the people directly, right?
Wow, yeah.
And I like to capture people's attention. Like, if I had a listener listen to this song and they're like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, I don't know. I like to break down the walls of the illusion in some ways. And like I said, I know that sounds bad, but I think it's cool too, because I feel like there's not a lot of vocalists out there doing that. And I don't know. I also want to come across as like a real guy, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You're breaking the fourth wall in the bridge that you wrote while you were puking.
Yes.
Meta. I hate meta. No, that's super cool. Sick. Well, is there anything else in this song that's fucking cool? The ending, maybe?
Oh, this guy right here.
That's Ryan's solo.
Ryan's solo was very fun in this one.
That was cute.
Very, very, very good time. He has a few solo sections.
It was cool because you had these two sections that were mostly the same, but we wanted to make sure that the solos were independent of each other.
Yep.
And then there's the 3 sections.
Yeah.
Fun fact on those we're running. It's not a chorus. It's a plugin that emulates a 910 phase shift, like dual micro, like one of the stereo doubler effects that Eddie Van Halen used to use.
Hell yeah.
To give it that 80s throwback
Yeah,
swag.
I remember that.
And I was like, I never ever get to use this in it. Like I threw it on there and I was like, it sounds cool, and I kind of pushed for it just because it's something it's a sound I've always liked on guitar. But also like the key to this entire song and the thing that struck me about it, because I remember we had some pretty decent conversations immediately following this, where I basically tried to like keep pushing you in the direction of doing things like this because the potential was apparent. I work with a lot of bands and artists, and unfortunately most of them, like, to put it kindly, they don't get it. Like if we're creating good songs, sometimes we're lucking into it. Or they're like, there's like, you know, they'll do 5 songs with me and there's like 4 that are okay, you know, this is a good song, and then there's one that really gets it, that understands how to take listeners on a journey, how to be provocative, how to be hooky, how to give people the ear candy they want while also giving them the level of depth that they need. Because if you give people just nothing but the sugar, it's like a candy bar, it's fleeting, they won't stick with it. You've got to give some substance. And this song has substance. It's incredibly dynamic. It goes from these brutal tearing breakdown parts to these like incredibly hooky choruses, these soaring guitar solos. Like there's a lot going on here, but it all makes sense in context. So you never feel lost when you listen to it. You're going through it from section to section, and all of these transitions make sense. We're never as a listener stopping and asking, wait, how did we get here?
Right.
You just kind of go along for the journey, and when you end up there and you look back at the song, you're like, holy shit, look at all these places that we just went sonically. And yet it all made sense.